All right, guys. Well, welcome to an art business workshop. My name is Patrick. I run the marketing department here at Art Storefronts. Been doing that going on, I think it's coming up on like 7 years now, which means for the last 7 years, I've been trying to solve the problem you guys are all trying to solve, which is how do you apply some modern marketing to actually growing an art or photography business, from taking it out of the hobbyist zone to the side hustle zone, or maybe the side hustle to a full-time job, and then maybe significantly growing the business from there. In addition to that, I've been running essentially like 3 of these sessions a week for the last, I don't even know, year and change. And you know, I always say this, and I don't think it's hyperbole. There's very few people that talk to more artists and photographers on a week in, week out basis than me. I've heard it all. I've seen it all. Everything about niche selection, to pricing, to branding, to gallery relationships, to media types, to selling merch or not selling merch, to, I mean, just about everything under the sun. And then as a final, we have a little bit over 5,700 customers at Art Storefronts, and it's sort of becoming our secret sauce because that gives me 5,700 customers' data that I get to analyze, and I get to see everything. So who's selling the most originals? Who's selling the highest volume of originals? Who's selling the highest priced originals? Who is selling the most prints? What about canvas prints or metal prints or frame prints? Who's the best at commissions? How are they doing that? Limited releases. We study all of that. We study all of that very, very closely, and we look at the traffic sources that are generating those sales, and we get to see who's the best at running sales, who's the best at capturing emails, who's the best at Facebook, who's the best at Instagram. Is SEO a viable channel for artists? What about Pinterest? Is Pinterest driving any results? And you know, it's sort of profound when you see it, because there are so many people that are running around in this industry that are utter, total, and complete charlatans. It's mind-boggling. They're talking about their results that they're getting from this, that, or the other. And for me, I get to see the ones that are actually getting those results, and it's never the ones that are making the most noise, let me tell you. So what we're going to do, we're going to start out with sort of a presentation that sits on top of everything that we do at Art Storefronts. It's a way that we believe if you want to be successful as an artist or photographer, that you need to look and understand the industry and the business model and some of these high-level things. So I'm going to zip through that presentation pretty quickly. Afterwards, we'll go into Q&A, and I'll get into how you can raise your hand digitally or in the real world. I can unmute your mic. You can ask me any question you want about anything. As the presentation is rolling along, there is a chat at the bottom of Zoom. If you've got a question in your head and you're like, I just want to get it out of my head and throw it in there, you can throw it in there. And the minute that thing's done, I will start going through those one at a time, or if my team can answer them instantaneously, they will do so. After the presentation, we can talk about the demo process. It's sort of what we do to give our potential customers like a really in-depth view of who we are, what we do, what the software looks like. And the demo process is, I hate the word demo. It's basically a test driving the car, right? It's a one-on-one chat with a member of our outreach team. They find out about you. You know, you can ask all your questions about pricing and everything else before it starts, and then you jump into it. It's an intimate Zoom call, goes like an hour, and they show you all the features, all the bells and whistles, and the thing can kind of go this way or that depending on what you want to see more of, or you know, what is of particular interest to you. So that's sort of the process that we run. But let's start with the presentation. I should say also too, if you're one of the ones watching on Facebook, hey Kim, good to see you. You can leave comments there on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching it. I'll see those, and I can pick those up as I roll along. So I've created this thing that I call the art selling pyramid, okay? And I call it the path to a successful art business in 2021 and beyond. And I firmly believe that it is critically, critically important to get this right. And the reason it's a pyramid, you probably saw this. I stole it from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, idea is it's a pyramid. You have to sort the bottom blocks, and then you can get up to the next block. And, you know, in Maslow's case, the bottom block are the physiological needs, right? We all need to eat. We all need to sleep. We all need to do that every day. Next rung up, safety, security. You get shape, you save your money, love, belonging, all the rest of the jazz. Wonderful. So the bottom block of the art selling pyramid is attention. And attention is the currency of the land that we live in right now. With it, you can do anything. Without it, you're not in the game. And attention comes in many forms. It's just eyeballs. It's owned attention and rented attention. Owned attention is the stuff that can't be taken away from you. Snail mail addresses, email addresses, phone numbers. Rented attention is social followers. YouTube subscribers, Facebook fans, Instagram fans, whatever platforms you're doing your marketing on. And combined, it is straight up the currency of the land. And I know conclusively, I don't even have to ask a single solitary one of you, every single solitary person on this call has a marketing problem. Every single solitary person on this call needs more attention if they want to sell more art or photography. It is the only thing that matters. And I would love to tell you that in today's day and age, the best artist or the best photographer, i.e. a meritocracy on how good you are at your craft, those are the ones that win. Nothing could be further from the truth. The best art, the best photography doesn't win. The best art or the best photography that gets seen wins. And that is the world that we live in right now. Your success is directly proportional, is a meritocracy on how good you are in your marketing. Fundamentally just truth. And, you know, I have certain ways of taking it out of the art world, and this is a perfect example. If I was to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, who are some of the most powerful women in the world, how would you respond to that? I'll do it for you. There's many. But it is the Kardashian-Jenner sisters, okay? And we can all argue about how these ladies went about amassing the attention that they did. What we don't argue about is the fact that they all have 10 to 50 to $100 million a year businesses, because those ladies understand the currency of the land is attention. Stated yet another way, if any of those surgically enhanced, well-endowed women decided to start painting tomorrow or become photographers tomorrow, they would have a $10 million art business year one. Year one. Is that fair? No, it's not. But does that underscore what you can do with attention? Okay, why you all have a significant marketing problem you need to solve? It is the only problem that you need to solve. You solve that problem, everything else becomes relatively easy to do. So attention is the currency of the land, no different than Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you are not taking care of the bottom block, which is attention, it is eating and sleeping. It is that fundamental to the business. The next block up has an outer portion and an inner portion, okay? The outer portion is the business model. And the second one is the collector list, which I'll get to in a second. The business model is you guys have to be selling direct. You have to be selling direct to the end consumer. You have to be, selling direct to the end consumer such that you can start building a collector list, okay? Such that you can maintain the information on who is actually collecting your art, such that you can market to these folks for the rest of your art selling lives, okay? And the collector list is fundamentally, and I've been doing this a long time, and I see who's making money and I see who doesn't. If I was in the business of mergers and acquisitions, let's just say my job was to buy art or photography businesses, the first question I would ask every single solitary one is not how well you sold last year. What size and what is the health of your collector list? And let me tell you, that is directly proportional to how well you do financially. And I initially took the collector concept from this book, Don't Be a Starving Artist. Great book, very thin. Why would you want to read it? It's by Weiland. He's the #1 best-selling artist in the United States. Apparently, it's not even close. So great book. Weiland defines a collector as someone that will purchase in upwards of 8+ pieces from Weiland over the course of their lifetime. And it goes up from 8 to, in some cases, 30, 40, 50 pieces. And Weiland keeps creating. And he keeps raising his prices because he gets better. And the collectors just keep coming back and back and back. And he knows this because he sells direct and he maintains the information on the collectors. And he takes care of these people. He sends them Christmas cards, personalized emails. He likes their social posts, okay? You guys, this is the best way to think about the collector list, and it's so fundamental. You guys are all essentially just commission salespeople. You're solopreneurs for the most part. You don't have a staff. You don't have a marketing person and a salesperson and everyone else. It's just you creating and just you selling. And like a commission salesperson, if you go out and you create and then you go and pound the pavement and you really work hard at selling those and you sell, you're going to have a good year. But if you don't, you're not making any money at all. Nothing is selling, right? So when you understand the power of selling direct and when you understand the power of building and taking care of a collector list, you go from being a commission salesperson to a commission salesperson with a base salary. And it starts out small. Maybe it's 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 a year. And then it goes up and up and up. And what happens, just to keep the math simple, is you're going to come out with a new series. The new series has 10 pieces in it. It is going to be released to the public, and you're going to start marketing it starting Wednesday. On Sunday night, you email your collector list, and you say, patrons, collectors, I appreciate you guys so much. As a way of saying thanks for your continued patronage, I just wanted to let you know I'm coming out with a brand new series. I'm going to release it to the public on Wednesday, but because you guys have been collectors of mine and been with me for like you have, you get to see it before anyone else is. Here it is. Have a look. If any of it interests you, let me know. You get first right of refusal. And it turns out that people love getting first looks at things. They love being treated like VIPs. They love being treated like they're staying at the Four Seasons. And what they do is they buy. And they will buy some portion of the works. It starts small, maybe 1 out of the 10 sells, and then it goes up from there. And I have some customers where I'll routinely see 50, 60, 70% of what they have created is sold before it even goes to market. And that is the power of a collector list. And that can only happen if you're selling direct. And that can only happen if you understand the power of a collector list and you're taking care of the collector list. It will take you, okay, it will pay you a base salary just for creating, just for getting out of bed in the morning. And that is something that is sadly needed in this industry. And it is just so profoundly important. So that's a business model, the collector list. Once we have that sorted and we're working on our attention, there are 3 ways to sell art and photography, in 3 ways only. And number 1 is the best way. You guys all know this way. It's not a trick question. In person, face-to-face. Always has been the best way, always will be the best way. That's not going to change. Anytime you have the opportunity to sell your work directly to the person standing right next to you, that is fantastic, okay? But we all have a problem here. We are all of us geographically fixed on this planet. We all have to sleep, and we're incapable of having 15 conversations at once. So the next way, okay, the next best way is on your website. The website solves for all of this. So you need your art or photography on a website. It needs to be able to take credit card. It needs to be able to solve for these situations where someone's not in your hometown. It needs to be able to solve for these situations when you know there's 18 people at once that are wanting to see your art and you can't have that many conversations. So the website's really, really important. The third way, the newest way, the latest and greatest way, the most profound advancement to how art and photography is sold that's happened in the last 50 years certainly is exactly what we're doing right now. It is selling your art or photography via live video in an either one-to-one or one-to-many format, okay? Let me talk about the one-to-one first. Let's say I'm following Quinn, or I'm on Quinn's email list, and Quinn sends out a new piece, and I'm like, oh man, that looks so good. I got to talk to him about it. And I say, Quinn, I've got a new bathroom I just remodeled. I need to get some art in there. Do you think we could jump on a Zoom call? I'm interested in a couple of your pieces. And Quinn goes, no problem, Patrick. I would love to book that call with you. He sends me a Zoom link. We jump on there. He's holding his pieces. He's talking about them. I'm actually getting to know him like I was right there in front of him. He's telling me what's available, what his inspiration was on these various different pieces. And guess what? The sale gets over the line, and it is profound, okay? It is the next best way to sell art than being face-to-face, okay? Than being face-to-face. And literally the entire art selling world is trying to figure out either the one-to-one or the one-to-many. Now, we can talk about the one-to-many. The one-to-many is the concept of a live art show, okay? And I'm going to show 2 sales that a longtime customer and buddy of ours, his name is Matthew Locke. He's a painter from Quebec in Canada. And he's got his art in his hand. He's streaming live to the various different social sites. He is answering questions and comments that are coming in real time. And he's got, I can go through the tradecraft of how all this is going, but he's streaming this live to Instagram at the same time as Facebook, at the same time as his personal Facebook, at the same time as his YouTube account. And this particular gentleman, over a 15-day period in the middle of COVID without having to leave his garage studio, sold a little bit over 62 pieces for a little bit over $30,000 Canadian, okay? And he did not have to pay a 50-50 split. Admittedly, he had a very significant headache with shipping after the fact, but you notice these things as a business. These are the things that I am paid to study, like selling that many pieces for anyone in that short period of a time just by going live is profound. And so what does my job then become? How can I duplicate what this guy did? Was it a fluke? Was it just him? So what have I done since then? I've run hundreds of these, okay, with various different artists in various different niches in various different parts of the United States. And this particular example is a customer named Meg. She's a painter from Kansas City. She was actually moving out of one studio space into another, and she had a bunch of smaller pieces and color studies and drafts and the like. And you remember what I said about the collector list? She had 82 pieces in this particular show. She was going to run the live art show on a Wednesday. on a Sunday. She sent the entire show to her collector list, and her collector list about 46% of the show. By the time this one was all done, she sold 70 pieces, I think, for a little bit over $12,000. And what have we done since then? Run one after another with artists, with photographers, different niches, different spaces, and you learn things. What about pricing? How do you quote pricing? Where does the work live? How do you announce the sale? How do you negotiate during the sale? What is the best way to approach it and do it? And we are making fundamental strides in this particular format of selling art, and there are so many different ways to do it, so many different little unique niche type of things that you learn as you go along, right? And it is absolutely the future, and we're not the only ones that are trying to figure it out. Like, you know, your industry doesn't have a ton of reports. There's two big ones that come out on a yearly basis. One is done by this insurer out of London called Hiscox Group. This one's done by Art Basel and the UBS Global firm, or just UBS, I should say. And the disclaimer on this thing is they really only study like the top 5% of artists in the entire world, but it's still a really good report, and there's a ton of stuff that you can learn, and you'll see what my point in making this is. And I'm going to send you a link to this. I think you should read this report after on your own time. It's the table of contents on it is awesome. But what do they say? Okay, the top 5% of artists in the world, all making over $100,000 a year, in many cases, you know, over $1 million a year. And it says, and I quote, Chapter 5 looks at the online art market and the rapid evolution in sales in 2021. The chapter shows how the dealer sector shifted sales online in 2020 in the development of online viewing rooms, OVRs. It goes on to talk about how much art was sold via these OVRs. And you know what an OVR is? It is a snooty way to say a Zoom call. Exactly what we're on right now. That's it. It's not anything more than that. The artist's agent and or the artist is on one side of the Zoom call. On the other side is the high net worth individual, and a tremendous amount of art was sold. So my point in all that is it doesn't matter if you are just getting started and you've never sold a piece of art, period, or if you are at the very top 5% of this particular industry in art or photography, selling over $100,000 a year, and in some cases many millions. Everyone is trying to figure out the live art show at the same time. And let me tell you, there are so many, what happened there? I clicked on the wrong thing. There are so many different iterations of it. And, you know, I go back to my original buddy, Matthew, that we've been running these with. And, like, some abstractions on this whole thing is he had in the middle of COVID, and the date on this was July 24th, 2020. He had in the middle of COVID a gallery show. And the gal that owned the gallery was like, look, I realize we're in the middle of COVID, but we're going to go for this thing anyway, so let's do it. And he has the show, and obviously not a ton of people can attend, and social distancing and all that. He sold some to his collector list. He sold some night of, but he didn't sell the show out. And so the next day, he grabs his glass of wine, and it's a live art show again, except this time he's walking through the actual gallery show where the actual work was hanging on the wall, and you get to see the pieces hanging in the gallery, and you get to see the ones that have red dots that have already sold, and it creates some FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. Obviously, this is an artist that's selling. And again, people are able to ask comments, he's able to walk through, and as a result of this show, you know, this live art show that was in an actual retail art gallery, he sold a significant portion of the show after the fact. And so, you know, I believe very firmly and without question, this is the future of selling art and photography online. And, you know, my job running the marketing department here is to figure out the best ways to make my customers successful. And I'm just telling you, I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. How significant the results that are coming as a result of running these shows is just absolutely profound. And the more of them we run, the better we get, right? And the more lessons you learn. And I love learning the lessons. And if you can't laugh at yourself, you know, what are you going to do? But do you notice anything about this one? Same guy. You see how the quality's terrible? You want to know why the quality's terrible? Because his significant other is upstairs streaming Netflix while the show's going on. So don't have somebody upstairs streaming Netflix when you're trying to run your live art show, right? That's a bad move. Don't do that. So, you know, you go through them and you learn. And like one of our, you know, most recent, most advanced features, not most advanced, but a cool feature that we came up with, it's like, okay, so that's a crappy quality one. So, you know, let's say you're running one of these shows. Well, okay, how do you handle pricing? Where do you send the people to go and look at the art and potentially buy it? How smooth of a checkout process is that? How quickly can you get a page up that has the numbers and everything else? So our newest feature are these live art show pages, which I've custom designed, and they run on our website, which would be your website, but we can get into that later. Notice how there's no header, there's nowhere to click, there's no nonsense. All I want people to do is be able to see the work and purchase it. And so this is a show that we ran last week Friday, and he's a rock photographer, and the show is ended. So after the fact, the video gets embedded on the page, because after the show is over, you want to be selling. And you can build one of these pages with us in 5 minutes. You drop a bunch of images, you give the images titles, descriptions if you like, the price, the size, and they're all up on a page. And then when you're running the live art show, you can say, here's the page that you go to, right? Here's the page you can go to. And one of the problems that you'll have are two people bidding for the same piece at the same time, right? So how do you solve for that? That's what these sold buttons are. So if somebody wants to purchase one of these works, all they have to do is click the buy now button. This little cart slides right out. They put in their information, their credit card, they go pay now. The transaction's complete. The minute the transaction is complete, the sold icon appears, right? And so, this is one of the things that we're working on. One of the things that we're advancing is how do you make it easy as possible to run a live art show, to ship one of these. So fundamentally important, that one. The top of the pyramid, the last bit of the pyramid, is everything else. It's everything else. Once you understand attention and you're working for attention, once you understand the business model, a collector list, the 3 ways to sell art, then comes everything else. If you have a retail gallery that's still working, fine, don't get rid of it. I love revenue, but it's got to be in addition to everything else that you're doing, okay? So too with any of the online galleries, Etsy, Saatchi, Fine Art America, Art.com, Redbubble, whatever it is, or even the show and thayer circuit, right? So you understand that pyramid, and you start working that pyramid, and you do so consistently, and you have a little perspective. You have a perspective of how long all of you guys are going to be artists. And I talk to hundreds of you a week. I can tell you, artists and photographers don't go through midlife crises. Once you're a creator, once your brain is wired this way, this is just what you're going to be doing for the rest of your lives. And it might go from hobby to a little bit more serious from time to time, but that's what you do. I mean, I routinely talk to people on these calls on a week in, week out basis in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s. So when you have the perspective of how much time you guys have left to get this right, to start consistently working on your marketing, to be building and taking care of a collector list, like, you've got time to right the ship if you've not been doing things correctly up until now. And it is the best way to build a fine art or photography business in which you control the rules, okay? And even if another COVID hits and we all go into lockdown, you've got zero problems because you have the ability to market and the know-how to market, and you have someone to market to, right? And to sell your work to. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. We will open it up now to Q&A. And a couple of different ways to do in Q&A. If you're one of the brave ones and you have your camera on and you have a question, you can just raise your hand. I'll see that. I'll know to put you in the queue and unmute you. For everyone else, there is a reactions button at the very bottom of the Zoom window, and you can see it's got like a little raise hand button on there. You can see I just did it on mine. That sort of tells me that you digitally raise your hand and gives me a cue, and lets me go through the questions. We have a really small group today, which is, the end of the month just ended, and so that's normal. So I can afford to spend a ton of time with you guys if you're so inclined. And then if you're on the socials, I will see your comments too, including I'm interested in this. And who's this? Is Carmine. I'm interested in this, but the presentation is rather terrible. I mean, the disembodied head and very difficult to follow, talks too fast, and the miking isn't good. So apparently I don't have a fan on Facebook today. So Carmine, to be honest with you, I probably will not answer your question. I'm kidding. But yeah, turn it over to you guys. Any questions that you might have about what we do, about anything I just presented, pricing, printing, niche selection. Somebody waving their hand? I think Steve are you raising your hand, Steve? No, Quinn is. I'm gonna get Quinn first. Okay. You're up, Quinn. I'm going to move myself over here and move you here so we can see you. Oh, yeah, you'll need to unmute, Quinn. It's like the mic icon. Yep, gotcha.
So talk to me about pricing. That's something I am curious about.
Yep, 100%. So kind of have to give you the backstory. It'll make more sense. Are we a website company like everyone else? Yeah. Do all website companies have a monthly fee? Yeah. Do we have a monthly fee? Yeah. But we realized sort of like a couple of years ago that if we want to have a business, we have to have successful customers, and a website is not enough. Shopify has a stat. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that company or not. It's the biggest company in the world, the biggest company in Canada in terms of market cap. It's amazing. 99% of their store owners fail. And the reason that 99% of their store owners fail is the reason that 99% of artists that throw up a website fail, because you don't have a website problem, you have a marketing problem, right? So what do we do to solve the marketing problem? We essentially are a full-blown art business university that once you sign up, you're enrolled for life. The learning never stops. And there's everything from a calendar that tells you what to do 365 days a year to all this do-it-yourself education on how to do all the various different things. We put the entire customer base, just like college, into Zoom sessions like this on a weekly basis on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We teach the various things that we're asking you to do. We do Q&A just like this. And then you have support all along the way for 6 days a week. So the minimum plan, the starting plan for us is $990, I think, and then $49 a month. But the takeaway and all that is like, well, why would I pay that? You would pay that so that you have the best chance possible to be successful, because we have to solve the marketing problem, right? And that takes time. Good? Answered it? Any follow-ups? I like the Zoom background, by the way. Library vibe. It's good. Are you just out of curiosity, are you an artist or a photographer?
Photographer. That sells fine art photography.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. All good.
Yeah, I like taking pictures quite a bit.
And is it just a passion, or do you have like a service aspect to that business?
I'm horrible at business. But I do sell stuff, and I have a lot of bookings, and I'm just trying to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What do you do? What do you do when you sell your prints?
What do I do when I sell them?
You just print them locally?
Yeah, I have a local printer, and we print them up, and I've got a lot of good friends that help me out. I mean, there's the people that I know by my art, and trying to start up a couple of shows, do the one-to-one sales. But one of my competitors is working with you, and he seems to be doing quite well. That's why I'm interested.
Interesting. I love that you say it's a competitor.
He's a friend and a competitor. He sells art too around here.
Got it. But who's your friend, just out of curiosity?
John Adolphson.
Okay. I don't know if I know John, but
we're out of Utah.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I mean, and you should ask him, assuming it's not too competitive, and he'll tell you the same thing. It's like he understands that there's a marketing problem he needs to solve, and you got time to figure it out, but you got to get going. And I say, like, it's hyperbole. Oh, I talk to so many of you guys week in, week out. I do, and I'm an optimist. I don't want COVID to come back. I don't want to deal with more lockdowns, but it sort of seems like that crap is coming back. And for the ones that got started on their marketing and understood that you had to do marketing, most people never have, right? You have to be capturing emails. You have to be emailing the emails. You have to learn how to run a sale. You have to learn how to run a live art show. You have to be regularly marketing and doing that consistently. When COVID hit, the demand, just like everything in the home decor space, right? People are putting swimming pools in their backyard and buying couches and outfitting offices, and art and photography was in that. So it was a huge bump. The ones that had the ability to market when COVID hit, in contrast to everyone that was reliant on offline revenue sources, the galleries or anything else, it was like art demand at an all-time high, and all of the available venues to buy art at an all-time low. And as a result of that, they had some of their biggest years ever, right? And so now we're looking at COVID potentially coming back, number one. And number two, in non-COVID times, and traditionally Q4, the last 3 months of the year, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, pre-Christmas sales, all of that, for a good portion of my customers, 60%, they'll sell more in the fourth quarter than they do the other three combined. It's not even close, right? So Q4 is essentially a marathon. And if you were going to run a marathon, around mid-November, what would you be doing on the weekends right now? You'd be going on 3 to 5K runs to get ready, right? And the most important thing that you can do is start doing the marketing between now and then, so that you're ready and you can take advantage. That's the whole ballgame. But what's interesting for you guys with the service portion of it is, like, I don't feel like the majority of working photographers that have a service-based business are properly monetizing it. And you're not properly monetizing it because you're not getting enough print sales out of it. And you're not getting the print sales out of it because you're not even asking, right? You're not even asking. And fundamentally, a photography service-based business is trading dollars for hours, right? You have a certain amount of time. You have to go out and do that service. And so you're trading dollars for hours, and you usually have a fixed AOV, average order value. And let's say you charge $500 an hour and you do a 2-hour session, you're going to charge $1,000. That's always just going to be $1,000, right? Now, that's a great return, but again, you only have 24 hours in a day. So the question is that how can we get your $1,000 per those 2 hours up to $1,500 or $1,250 or $1,700, right? And the way you do that is you start adding more print sales into those service sessions. And, you know, when you integrate with us and you have a pile of samples and you're out doing your service job, I'm going to grab this. Just give me a sec. And so it's like you booked the session with me, Quinn, and you're like, hey, Patrick, that was an awesome session. I really appreciate it. Just want to let you know, because no one really ever has this figured out. A lot of people go to Costco or Walmart or Sam's after to get prints, but here's everything that you could get printed on this thing. You can get fine art paper, okay, which is a textured fine art paper. It can be framed. It can be ready to hang, right? You can get a canvas print, and they're gallery wrapped canvas, edge to edge, beautiful, ready to hang, right? The sort of one of the newest, most popular ones are metal prints, right? And this is what it looks like. Again, ready to hang. No frame needed for these. The detail is insane. The newest kit on the block is acrylic. A lot of people really like this, and you can kind of see the difference between acrylic and metal, because guess what? No one knows the difference between acrylic and metal. So you're able to show it here, right? Talk about the differences. And then here's the new kit on the block, which is wood, right? And the detail in wood is really, really incredible. So anyway, that little pile right there is $100, right? If I was a photographer and a service-based photographer, I would never go anywhere with that pile, because none of your customers even know that they can get these things. And at the end of the session, Quinn, just because you booked with me and we finished a session, what I like to do is, if you ever need a print of any of these things in any size, I'll give you 25% off the first order. Just let me know. You don't have to go down to any of these places, right? And every single solitary service-based photographer that buys the doggone stack of prints, okay, and lets their customers know that they're available and that they don't have to go to Costco or Walmart or their local place, and that you can take care of it, now, instead of making $1,000 per session, you're getting to like $1,150, $1,250, $1,350, $1,450, right? Because your fine art business is going to take time to grow. You know that. Everyone knows that. And that's fine. But they're both separate trains on the track, right? Like, if we can increase the service-based one and increase the fine art one, all that's just more money you can pour back into the marketing. So I get fired up about the photography side of things. And you don't want to go to your own. You don't want to go to your own printer either. The best thing to have is POD, whether you use us or not, because then the order goes in, you touch nothing. The order gets shipped, printed, shipped. Your logo gets slapped on the side of the box, and it gets shipped to the customer, and you don't touch anything, right? All time you can put back into marketing and everything else. So that's what I'd say.
All right, I got a phone call coming in. Nice to visit with you. How do we follow up with this? Is there someone I can contact, or?
Yeah, we'll have somebody contact you if you like. It's easy enough. Okay. You don't even have to do anything else. But yeah, go and take the test drive. Talk to Johnny about, like, and ask him honestly.
It's good counsel. Yeah, he is a good friend. He's a good friend. I'll visit with him. Thank you for your time. Sorry to be heading out. I just got a phone call.
No, I got it. Thanks, dude. Okay. Awesome. I always get fired up on the photography ones. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Well, you've got me. Leslie's asking, what if you don't have a logo? You don't need a logo to start out with, Leslie. We teach you some ways to get them quickly, which is not difficult. Sarah's asking if we're similar to Artwork Archive. No, we're not similar to Artwork Archive. You get your own website with us, and we teach you to market all year long. So that's a pretty significant deviation, I imagine, from what they do. I've actually never even heard of Artwork Archive, but I sort of doubt. Yeah. Interesting website, though. I'll check them out, Sarah. I've never seen them, but I know that they're not quite like us. There's just no one that teaches their customers to market, and that's what we do all year long. So different type of a deal. Well, Alan, Steve, you're the only two I can pick on, because you're John. I can pick on John too. You guys have questions? Can be about just about anything. Oh, Alan does good. All right, I'm gonna unmute you, Alan. Go ahead. You'll have to hit the mic icon in the bottom left-hand corner. Looks like you're on a phone, so there's somewhere down in the bottom corner is like a little microphone icon. It'll have a bar through it. You just press that. Yep, you got close. You turned the camera off, so you were in the right zone. You're in the right zone. We'll find it. Don't worry. I'll let you know when you get it. Oh, yep. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, so I was talking to Jeff this morning,
Okay.
and very personable. Really liked the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I've been shooting photography for over 50 years.
Amazing.
So yeah, I've got a lot.
Canon or Nikon guy?
Pardon me?
You a Canon or Nikon guy?
Nikon.
Nikon.
Yeah, and I'm actually starting to look at a new one because I don't know if I'm limiting out on my printable size.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm shooting a D70,
Mm-hmm.
and the lab that I work with, I've got a piece that I just sold a couple weeks ago. It takes 2 weeks to get it done, but it's because it's going to be a canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I have a question about is that I sign my pieces.
Yep.
And number my pieces. So it's just a deal where I limit out on how many I'm going to print.
Yeah.
So how would we handle that through that service?
So if you didn't want to make any changes to how you're doing business now, what you would do, assuming you sign up and you get to decide whether you want to integrate with Bay Photo on the West Coast or Graphic Dimensions on the East Coast. Are both huge companies, have every printer, every media type imaginable. And what our customers usually do is the order will come in, the printer will automatically print it, they'll send it to you. You take it out of the packaging, sign it, close it back up, ship it off, right? That's if you don't want to change anything at all. What we sort of advise our customers to do is, okay, you're going to have some limited editions, some open editions, let's just say, and you can offer non-signed or signed and charge extra for the signed ones. And what we find anyway, is there's actually some people that could care less if it was signed. They don't care. They just want the cheaper price, and so you can offer that. If they do want it, you just charge a little bit extra because the shipping to you is one, and then you have to ship it again to them, right? So that's sort of part of the process.
What if it was a deal where that's exactly what you're saying, whether they wanted a limited piece, you know what I'm saying, as far as I don't know, my pieces, I'm real curious as to I guess my pieces I have right now that are out that I've turned. I've got 2 and 3 pieces, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how many are out there.
Yeah,
and they're limited, and but I'm looking to put more out. So I'm trying to figure. Do you guys have like if I showed you some of my pieces when I get with you,
mm-hmm.
Is there somebody that actually could rate the art?
Yeah, there is, and the only person that can rate the art is the one that pulls the credit card out of the wallet and slides it through the machine. That's it. There's no one else that rates it. And this is a common refrain that I get like all the time. Like, and these are the various different versions. Well, I've been in many juried shows, or everyone tells me my art and photography is incredible, or I get thousands of likes and shares and comments, to which I respond, Alan, I will drive down to your hometown. I will pick you up. I'm going to drive you over to the closest ATM machine and show me the buttons on the ATM machine for, I've been in many juried shows. Or show me the button on the ATM machine that says likes, comments, shares, right? Or the one that says, everyone tells me my work is incredible. So the only one that can tell you is actually the market, right? And you can't ever delude yourself to thinking otherwise. That's the most important thing. But going back to your limited edition scenario, I love limited editions, okay? I love limited editions because of the higher price point and the higher return that you get, which is fantastic. What I don't like is what you'll find is, and again, you remember what I said about perspective, contemplate how long you've been doing this, how much longer you do. I don't like situations where you don't have any exposure to lower price points, okay? And I don't like that for the following reason. There's gonna be, no matter what, once you start marketing and you start going at it, and again, with the perspective of how long you're gonna be doing this, all of your potential collectors and buyers fall into a bell curve, which is sort of how the averages work, right? And the bell curve is the socioeconomic bell curve. Lower income folks, they'll like and they'll comment and they'll share, but they don't really have enough money to buy anything significant. Lower, middle, upper, high net worth individuals, right? And if you just go into the situation saying, I am only going to sell the limited editions, and let's just say they start at $1,000. Well, if you don't have any of those price points at 750, 500, 250, and even under 100, then there's a bunch of people that like what you do, love you, want to purchase, but can't afford it. And so by saying I'm not going to have anything in those price points, what ends up happening is they can't afford to buy it. Okay. And the contrast of them affording to be able to buy something is like they get an open edition print, and it's $100, and it's up in their bathroom for the next 7 years. 7 years later, they got a good job, they got a new house, and all of a sudden they're ready to buy some art. And the difference between you getting that sale and you not getting that sale is the fact that that piece of work has been up in their bathroom when they think about you every single solitary day, right? That's the difference.
At least once or twice a day.
Yeah, at least once or twice. That's the difference. That's the difference, right? And so when you don't have those price points, and you don't have the ability to have something for those folks where they can have you on the wall, like,
I understand.
Yeah, you do this for any period of time, and you realize fundamentally that the easiest customer to get is the one you already have.
Well, that's
truth.
Right.
Truth.
And it's all getting across the fact that I'm a people person, so I like talking. So it's a deal where when I meet people face to face,
yes,
you know, it's just easier to sell. But
always the best way.
You know, I'm trying to make it easier instead of, I'm just trying to get started doing it again. Mm-hmm. And, cause I don't have to do it. This is where I want to do it, cause I want to share what I've done.
Yeah. And it's like, what, you're retired and you don't need the income, but it's kind of fun to have something to keep going with. And, you know, let's be honest.
Keeps me busy.
Yeah.
So.
It's like, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you probably have one heck of an archive that you could start pulling from, right? And that would be fun too.
I have a ton.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I'm looking at. And, but I do know what I'm going to start with as far as that goes. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it'd be nice to be able to say, okay, let me show you what I've got. And then somebody says, well, let's pull this piece. Because I do series. I've done series work where there's a series of the same, it's the same area, but like sunsets. Mm-hmm. I lived in Pahrump, Nevada. And the sunsets were, oh my gosh, it's, you know, they're one of a kind sunsets. Mm-hmm. So, and the dramatics was the clouding, you know, the clouds and the sunset and the mm-hmm. mountains. So I've got tons of those from different areas also. I've been shooting I've been East Coast to West Coast. I know, in between. I was in Denver last weekend. You know,
I was in Denver last weekend, actually.
Right, nice.
Yeah, that place is cool. That was like the first long weekend I had there. And I got definitely poured on a couple of times, but it was nice otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a lot of different things that I have over the years, the planes, but anyway.
Yeah.
I guess what I was getting at is I'm, you know, in my mind, I'm trying to go through and figure out where do I want to start with what I have.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, the cost points, and I heard you saying the low end was $900.
Yeah, $900 down, and then I think it's $49 a month. But they can give you all the costs on the demos.
Yeah, I'm talking to Jeff. He gave me kind of the rundown on it.
Yeah,
and we're talking again tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I think Alan, independent of everything else, what I would say for you, like, you know, the no nonsense, no bullshit version, like, if you're committed to working at it for a couple of years and you're willing to put some honest, I mean, because you're retired, right? You can decide like, nah, I'm enjoying this today. I don't want to do it, right? But if you can commit to spending some hours a week to put into the marketing, and you're willing to do that for a couple of years, you're going to have a business on your hands, and it's going to be way worth it. If you feel like, I don't know if I want to do that, that's the only decision you have to make. And if the answer is no, then don't do it. Don't do it, because you are going to have to do the marketing and have to learn some of that stuff. But once you do, it will be, you know, it'll be a lot of fun. And especially with, like, once you get a bunch of people that love you, and then you have these new pieces to pull out of your archive and potentially having a live art show. Like, what if you just did a live art show, Sunsets in Pahrump, Nevada, right? A flash sale, 1 day only, and you had 15 prints on metal. Like, that kind of stuff is awesome. That is awesome when you have that to pull from. So
the lab that I work with, when they first started coming out with those, they also had I'm not even sure what type of, it was like you could put a light behind it.
Yeah.
Those kind. It was
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
A light board type image. Yeah, they did a couple pieces for me that way because I had light boards in my studio, and so I printed up stuff for that. It makes one big bang of a presentation on images when you're.
Oh, 100% it does. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Mylar. It was a Mylar type print.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah. I really can't think of anything else. I enjoy listening. I mean, you definitely know you're a photographer too. Then I take it. So
amateur, and just for me enjoyment. But yeah, I studied in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're an educated photographer.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, and I'll say this to everyone on the call too. I understand how to operate a camera. I understand framing. I understand the history. I've studied a lot of photographers, and let me tell you, there are a lot of times, and I'm not going to name any names, but there are a lot of times where people on our platform who I think are garbage photographers that don't understand framing actually have decent sized businesses because they're better at their marketing than anything else. It's crazy. It's crazy how that works, right? And not only that, like, because photography it's gotten so cheap, it's gotten so easy, there's so many different variations of it. Like, the only way you can stand out is with the marketing. Otherwise, you don't stand a chance. There's too much out there now of everything, right? So, the fact that you have the gift of gab and you enjoy it makes a huge leg up for you, because a lot of people just like to hide behind the lens, right? How many photographers like to hide behind the lens, right? Not ever talk, not ever show photos of themselves, not ever them holding their work. Like, you do that already, massive leg up.
Yeah, they that's
trust me, I've been doing this for a long time.
I think a lot of it comes down to the of course, everybody's got their own opinion about what they're seeing. So it's I think it's the eye.
Always. But the individual,
trying to translate what you saw and make sure that people are seeing the same thing, and the ability to see other things. So that's in the photo you took, or the capture. I call them captures now because that's what you're doing. You're capturing a moment in time. So
yeah. Working on your branding. Yeah, the story is almost as important as anything else. It's even more important because we're awash in 2D images, right? One after another. You see hundreds of them, and I scroll through people's social media sites, and all it is 2D image after 2D image after 2D image, and it's like, number one, you're not selling 2D images. You can't put a 2D image on a wall. That goes on your wall. Show me that, right? And then number two, if you don't have the story, no one's going to care. And it's got nothing to do with how good your work is or not. It's just because we are bombarded with nothing but 2D images all day long everywhere. So you got to get the story going. So we can help you. I hope you come on board, on.
All right. Well, I'll be talking to Jeff tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thanks, on.
All right.
Okay, Steve, I'm going to grab you next. I know you've got a couple of questions. And then I see the Facebook comments too. Don't worry. I will answer every one of those. So don't worry about that. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, just the questions that I asked.
Okay. So you asked first, how is the price of pieces determined? This is one of my favorite things about art. You can't be comparison shopped, and the prices are utterly, totally, and completely arbitrary, set on any whim that you like. And the decision, anytime you're in business, and especially like in a digital e-commerce business, when you're contemplating something, how should I price my work? You want to ask yourself, you get the emotion out of it. You want to ask yourself, is the decision I'm about to make reversible or not? If I set my price at $1,000, is that a reversible decision or not? You better believe it is. You can reverse it in 2 seconds. If it's a reversible decision, you do not want to stress about it, worry about it at all. You set it and you get going, right? And, fundamentally, one of the things that we recommend, and we recommend markups and what the percentages look like and how important that is. But every single solitary online business, aside from 2 merchants that I'm aware of, the 2 merchants are Louis Vuitton and Tiffany's, every other business has sales. They just have sales, right? And so when you look at how we recommend our customers price their work, we do a pretty heavy markup. We do a pretty heavy markup because I want you to have a sale where you offer an incentive to purchase the piece, in which case that's going to eat into your margin a little bit, right? But you can reset the prices at any point in time, and it's sort of just a battle. Early on, you set your prices. Most artists underprice themselves. That's a whole separate psychological thing, but you set the prices and you see how it sells. If it's crickets, you might be too high, or you might have another problem. If it's selling well, then it's time to kick it up, right? So we help and we advise with that. And then you heard my other rant about how important it is to have the range of prices, right? Like the range of prices is so important because, you want to be making sales all up and down the thing. And, one of the things that we offer too is merch. And some people get like pretty hot under the collar for merch, right? Like, am I going to put my art on cell phone cases and tote bags and this and that? And I say, I understand if that bothers you and that's a little bit bothersome, but tell me about the last museum that you've been into that didn't have a gift shop. Don't worry, I'll wait. Where is it, right? Every one of them does, right? What happens when you go to a Rolling Stones concert? They have a pretty damn big booth for merch, right? There's a reason, right? Like the whole point is that get your work out there and get your work into someone's hands that can now have a bond and love it and show other people and feel rewarded as a result of it, and then come back and buy the bigger stuff. So yeah, that's what I'd say. And I went to school at UCSD, San Diego.
Cool.
Yeah. They had like, I'm dating myself, but when I went, they actually had like the full-blown shaking the trays dark room, and I was like a total digital guy, and I hated it. I was like, I am not learning this dying art. Like, I just want to print things out. Like my senior year of high school, I'll never forget it. HP came out with like the first photo printer that was like consumer affordable. And like I was like, these results are good enough. And like my friends are in there shaking the trays and doing the whole thing. I'm like, nope. I know that thing is going the way of the dodo bird. I am not learning it, period, right? And then I had film classes too, where I had to like slice the 16 millimeter video together, and I hated that too because I knew that was going away. But yeah, anyway, that's where I went to school.
Cool.
Okay, any others? Any other questions
Not
for
for
you?
me.
Okay.
Not right now, anyway.
Yep, no worries. You let me know if you come up with another one. So I've got a bunch that are on Facebook, so I'll start answering those. If anyone else hasn't been here, I can do that. Okay. You'll watch the replay. Okay, great. Yeah, Sarah, you can watch the replay, and we can send you a DM or whatever. Thanks for your comment, Catherine. There's one up here that I really liked. Hold on. Okay, so Sarah's asking, is your business geared for fine art, paint, and photography only? Thanks. Looking forward to learning more about your business. We're sort of geared towards wall art, right? Like all of our software is essentially set up to sell wall art, but that being said, it's also just a generic e-commerce shopping cart, right? And so you can literally sell anything. You can sell anything you want at all. So you can sell books or CDs or any type of merch-related product or anything in between all day long, Sarah. So that's how it goes. And it turns out it doesn't matter what type of art you're selling. Everyone's got a marketing problem. That's the only thing that matters in today's day and age. Natasha's saying she's got 2 different businesses. And how do you want to approach that? You want to put all of them on one. And you're a current customer. Yeah, I would put everything on one, Natasha, because attention being the currency of the land that we live in, the last thing you want to do is split it up, right? The last thing you want to do is, have 2 Facebook pages to manage and have 2 Instagram accounts to manage and 2 email lists to manage. Like, no. In today's day and age, the human being buying the creations is an equal portion of the brand as is the actual creations. So yeah, you want to put them all together on one site, get going on your marketing, and don't worry about it, right? Like, we have so many people that they can never figure out what their niche is. And guess what? That is totally okay. You don't need to know what your niche is. All of you guys have not put enough time in your marketing to even know what your most profitable niche is. And you'll never know until you get going and get marketing and see what happens. And there's no rule book for what happens. So let's say you have like some fine art, you have some commissions, you paint people's dogs, and then you have some photography on the site. Well, you start marketing, and then at the end of the year, you've actually done enough marketing where you can look at the data and say, okay, what portion of what did I sell? If it's a smattering of everything, who cares? Keep going. If it's a really narrow defined niche that's giving you 80, 90% of your profits, okay, at that point, then you have to make a decision. Should I ditch all this other stuff and go all in on the one? But you'll never know until you start marketing. And, you know, I make the comment all the time. It's like, all we hear about the most successful artists in the world is how great they are, right? You don't ever hear about all of the tough times that they had along the line. And I love citing this quote from Picasso, right? Picasso, when he died, and by the way, he had like a thing about death, so he wouldn't talk about his death, and he never met with an estate attorney, so this was a big mess to sort out because he had like normal children and illegitimate children. I don't even know if they still sorted it out. When Picasso died, he had 45,000 unsold works in his inventory. 45,000. And you know what he was doing that whole time? Figuring out what his best sellers were. And a lot of them were duds, right? And so one of the things that we constantly teach our customers to do is pivot and try new things, right? Like there are people, you have to try new things all the time. And Alan, we got a guy, okay? He is a photographer, very talented photographer, lives in the Twin Cities, so, you know, in Minnesota there. And his jam is like monuments in and around the Twin Cities, some other areas, shot at night, long exposure, beautiful, right? And he was doing pretty good with that and had a nice little business. Turns out this guy is also passionate about going into a certain theme park that I will not name that has something to do with a mouse. And he likes setting his camera up, and he loves shooting the things in there. And so guess what? He now has both of those products on his website. These beautiful, I mean, I guess they're not too far off, right? But all of them are in a theme park, or all of them are all over the place. And the theme park stuff is actually outselling the other stuff 10x. And so now his business is exploding, and he's got all of that stuff up there. Zero problem at all. So is he going to have to decide at a point in time if he wants to be the mouse guy or the bridge and tunnel guy? Potentially. But it's working for him in the meantime, right? And he would have never known. He would have never known that stuff could be so successful. And by the way, apparently there's a group of people that do this, and that there are representatives from the mouse organization in the group saying, all you're doing is advertising for us, so we don't care. Have at it, right? Like if I see your stuff on coffee cups, you know, in stores outside the park, then we might have a problem, but otherwise go at it. And so how cool is that? So that's what he does. And again, like that violates everything. I have these two different brands, these two different niches. Like, doesn't matter. He's the guy behind it all. He's the one doing the marketing. People love him for it. So there you go. All right, I'm trying to think what else. And by the way, someone on here, so no joke, I'll just tell this quick story aside because this is, you guys think I'm kidding when I say the live art shows. So I'm in Denver this weekend. I'm on a bachelor party this weekend. We go to some cocktail place that we're trying to get into, and they make us wait for an hour. So we go to the bar across the street. In between, there's like a little side street, and there's a guy in a shipping container that has all his art in the wall in there, okay? And this is like 9 o'clock at night. Let me see if I can pull it up on my Instagram. You guys think I'm kidding. And I shouldn't even be showing this. It's going to be a little embarrassing, but I'm going to show it anyway. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up so I can show it to you guys. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in and talk to this guy. And if this guy's cool, we're running a live art show right now while I'm waiting. And so I literally go right in there, and it's this guy. You know, I have to wait because he's talking to someone else. And I sit down with him, and he's got a beer in his hand. He's like, you want a beer? And I was like, this is my kind of guy. I was like, this guy's cool. I was like, we are running a live art show, you and I, right now. Are you ready? And this guy, with no preparation whatsoever, was like, you know what? Cool. I'll do it. I was like, good. Let's go. And so here it is in the container. And I'm telling you, it was pouring rain outside. Did I show how pouring rain it was outside? I was like, let's do it, right? And all of his stuff was on the wall. You could see it's pouring rain out in the street. And I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do it right now. And so he's talking, narrating the whole thing. No, you're not going to be able to hear it very well. But I made him run it right on the spot. And he's like, dude, thanks for that. That was awesome, right? And what did this guy have? This guy had a great space. He had all of the pieces ready to go, totally a unique style. He'd never done anything like this before in his life. And Leslie on Facebook's asking me, did you follow up? No, I haven't followed up. He's supposed to email me, but it was cool, and he was so fired up, and I like, you know, he's got his beer in his hand. He was totally fired up to do it. He's like, you're right, I could totally do that. And he had like 5,500 followers on Instagram, and I was like, look, I've got 20,000 on Art Storefronts. Let me just run it, and we'll just go for it, right? But it just shows you how easy it is to do, and you know, everyone has different little advantages at play for themselves, and that was the one he had. He had a cool space, and so he could just go for it. And his work, I'm telling you, his work was cool. That guy was really, really cool. Mike, his name was. But that was super fun. I'm actually going to probably make that a thing now everywhere I go, assuming the artist is cool. But okay, that's what I got. Any other questions? Finals? Throw them in the chat. Anything, John? Anything, Benjamin? John looks very pensive. I want to flatter myself and say he's been taking notes, but I don't know if he has or if he hasn't. I'm going to unmute you, John. Let me know if you have a question. And you'll have to hit the mic icon. Got it, Ben? No question for you? One of my brother's best friends growing up with Ben Appleby, actually. Common name. Yep. But just Ben Appleby. No hyphen in there. Yeah, the link, the thing, Sarah, if you want, is just, it's on, I'll just send you the link right now. She's asking where can I see that show. No judging, though. I was on a bachelor party, and I probably shouldn't have done that because I maybe had a beer or two more than I should have. There, I put it in there. Oh, no, I'll put it on Facebook so you can see it. It's just on our Instagram, by the way. It's art_storefronts, and then you have to go to the IGTV tab. But there it is. You can watch it. All right. Well, guys, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks for attending. Awesome. If you want to find out more information, of course, you can request a demo. There's links here in the chat. But then, I forgot to say, too, after this thing's over, we'll wait till the video processes. We'll put the video in a web page, and then I'll send you the web page in an email. It'll have all the links, the reports, the videos, links to all that stuff. So if you want to watch any of that stuff on your own time, you can, and see what they look like. But all right, that's what I got, guys. Thank you. Everybody have a great rest of your week.